Finals for the event tomorrow. It's 90 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Mia O'Brien continues her vacation this week. She'll be back next week. It's really the summer vacation time of year around here at 1010XL and elsewhere. If you work, I feel like, in sports. I'll be gone next Monday through Wednesday. Everybody has the 4th of July off, and then you're off on Friday, Taylor, for a concert.
Correct.
So we'll just keep playing tag team. But like I just said on Jaguars Today, football season, well, at least for us, training camp is about a month away. So that's football season in our world. I know for other people, football season doesn't start until really the games start. But around here, training camp means it is on, and I am certainly looking forward to it.
I do think there's a level of excitedness for most fans initially, like that reporting week, but then it probably like dulls off a little for the rest because they're like, okay, we're not really getting anything out of this.
Yeah, there's some people who live and die by every single tweet that's sent out from the beat reporters that cover training camp. And then there's other people that say, unless there's a major injury or something, I don't really want to read and spend that much time on practice. I care way more once the games roll around. Other people, I would say, like us, we want to watch everything, but we're not necessarily going to draw a ton of conclusions just from practice, because I will tell you,
we've learned our lesson from that one.
that we have. And that's exactly what I was going to say. Is a year ago when Calvin Ridley got here, the way that he looked in training camp, and maybe that's because they hadn't released the full playbook on him. I'm not sure why he looked so good in training camp, and then when we got to games, things didn't translate, but certainly I was beyond excited for him, and he did some good things.
Yeah.
So certainly now that he plays for the Titans, I wish him nothing but the worst.
Well, and it's funny because I didn't get to go to any of the training camps last year, so I was one of the few that was like, I don't know. I think it's going to take a while for him to get good because I wasn't seeing what he was doing in practice. So maybe sometimes it's good not being there.
And that's the thing is there are certain things I feel like you can learn, and that is especially for me, when I watch the offensive line versus the defensive line. Once they have the pads on and everything, that's when I feel like you can really evaluate. Okay, how does Mitch Morse going against Eric Armstead look, and things like that. And so in the past, we've been able to figure out that there are some holes.
Yes.
And then other times it's like last season, another guy, Tank Bigsby. Okay, once the season starts, this guy is going to rush for 10 touchdowns. Let's go. And then obviously, again, once the real game started, he didn't maybe have as much awareness as he should have with the ball security issues. And so that's another thing that he's going to work on. And the fun time of year for those guys, I feel like, is the OTAs and minicamp, because they're around football, they're around each other, but it's not, the type of full pad, super hardcore workouts yet.
Yeah.
It's just kind of easing them into it. And then when training camp gets here, especially in the heat around here, we certainly felt some heat yesterday at the ballpark. Once you're in that and working so incredibly hard, that's when it's not nearly as much fun.
Yeah, the heat wore me out yesterday, so I don't know how they honestly do full training camps like that. I was out last night. I slept through my alarm this morning. Just for reference, I'm supposed to be here at 9. I woke up at 8:42. That's just turned my alarm off. Didn't snooze it, just turned it off. So I woke up and I was like, oh, I have to be at work in less than 20 minutes. So I made it, but just over 9 o'clock, but still that's how much the heat drained me. So thinking about all of the physicalness that they're doing during that time, I'm like, good for you guys. Yeah, it's always this time of year when I think I'm so grateful for the people who do work outside, and I don't know how they do it. Yeah, certainly they stay hydrated, but in general, it's that oppressive heat is what I call it, that humidity. All right, so the Jaguars account earlier today tweeted out who is on your Jaguars Mount Rushmore, and I was just talking about this with Dempsey and with Ozier. And I think you can go about this, Taylor, a few different ways. You can put owners on your Mount Rushmore. You can put coaches. You can put players only. Everyone's going to have a different way that they're going to go about it. And as I told them, I think the one player who's not on it yet, but in order for this franchise to get where it needs to go, is Trevor Lawrence. In 5 years, when we have this conversation, he has to be on that as far as the top 4
Jaguars to ever wear the black and teal ever. But he's not there yet.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that there's a few on this roster that I think that some people may put a Josh Allen on there right now. He's not on mine yet, but I, in my notes, wrote, in 5 to 7 years, I'm predicting that maybe some of these ones that are on my list from the older times, which is my whole list pretty much, will be replaced because they will start to have this number more recency. And you love the originals, and we want to talk about them forever. And you're almost gonna at that point want to be like, well, we have 10 to 15 names we can put on our Mount Rushmore, which you probably don't right now that truly deserve to be on there. And eventually, I think that the way that the organization is right now, we will have that, and it'll be more of the problem of like, how do we even decide for?
Yeah, I saw somebody's comment to the Jags was, we're going to need a bigger mountain. Yeah. And I was like, that's a good way to be, or a good place to be in as far as a franchise goes. So, all right, I'm going to guess that you and I both have Tony Baselli on our list.
I do have Tony Baselli, yes.
Okay, and of course he is the only Jaguar as of now to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, was enshrined 2 years ago when a lot of us went up to Canton. That was a whole lot of fun. And he better not be the last Jaguar to be enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Tom Coughlin should be in the near future. Fred Taylor should be. We'd like Jimmy Smith to get there eventually. But yeah, I figured we both had Tony. From here, you mentioned that you have a lot of the 90s guys. So from here, I'm going to guess you also have Fred Taylor.
Yes. And in my eyes, number one, if you're having Tony Baselli, a Hall of Famer, has to be on your Mount Rushmore. Fred Taylor, who I think should be in the Hall of Fame, has to be on your Mount Rushmore. And I also always go back to the fact of what running backs were asked to do during that time, too. It was such a physical position, and he played it at just such an elite level that it's hard. I put him at 1 on mine, so I did like a 1 to 4, and Fred was 1 on mine, just because I feel like when you talk about it, he played over 10 years here, and 7 of those he had 1,000 or more rushing yards each of those seasons. And like I said, in a more physical time of playing that position. So he's probably, if someone asked me my favorite Jaguar of all time, it would be Fred Taylor. So he's the top of my list for that one.
Which is funny, too, when we had him on.
Also, I got to wear Taylor jerseys when I was little. So that's
yeah, which is also really fun. When we had him on earlier this week, and I told him the only jersey I've ever owned, and still to this day, the only one I have, is a Fred Taylor jersey. And of course, for me, it's twofold. One, he was a great running back at the University of Florida, where I went to school. And 2, of course, a Jaguar as well, and a fantastic Jaguar, a legend. But at the end of the day, you probably never will replace, as far as the best running back of all time in Jaguars history, that person or that position will never be replaced because of the way that the NFL has moved away from running as the primary part of the game. And so I think Fred Taylor will always be the best running back. And certainly Maurice Jones-Drew, honorable mention for second best running back. And I think he'll always be the second best running back here as well. All right, so you gave us your number 1, which was Freddie T. Was Tony Baselli number 2?
It was actually 3 for me.
Okay, who's number 2?
I went back and forth between this because, like I said, he's a Hall of Famer, so I think he should be higher. But another player, and I know there's side stuff with this one, but to me, Jimmy Smith, when you have a guy who's currently holds all of the receiving records in Jaguars history, hopefully that's something that's also starting to change here in Jacksonville now with a franchise quarterback and some of these weapons they've added. But when you have seasons with 116 catches and 112 catches, he was just one of those guys that was so much fun to watch. And I know there was some side stuff with it, but when you're just talking about the football player and that Mount Rushmore side of being one of the top in your organization, I feel like you're not talking about the Jags without Jimmy.
So both of us have Tony Baselli, the left tackle, Fred Taylor, the running back, Jimmy Smith as well, the wide receiver. I have him too because Thunder and Lightning was such a big part, and I don't quite have room for Keenan McCardell, but certainly that tandem of receivers was one of the best in the league at the time, and the Jaguars are still yearning for receivers like them, and especially that burner like Jimmy. And it was fun a few years ago getting to watch him go into the Ring of Honor for the Jags and be on the field, watching him and the emotion that was flowing through him. And like you said, just the productivity that he had. The Jags.
I mean, it was almost like he was going to get 1,000 yards.
Easy.
You just didn't even question it.
And that was before 17 games.
Yes.
Before the league shifted to be more of a passing offense and certainly a passing league. I think Jimmy Smith is one of those guys that if he was on the team now, he'd be their best receiver. Yeah. And we want that to be Brian Thomas Jr., certainly. Yeah. Certainly, Christian Kirk is still here, and now you've got Gabe Davis. I understand that in totality, this wide receiving core is going to be expected to do a lot, in addition to Evan Ingram as well. But none of the individual parts of that, I feel like can compare to Jimmy Smith.
Yeah, and like you said, just imagine having him on a team like this, a team that's throwing the ball 600 times a season, and it's that very heavy mindset of a passing vertical offense and what we've been asking. That'd be so much fun to have Jimmy on this roster.
It certainly would be. All right, so then I'm going to guess that in the
We
end,
probably have the next
we
one
all
the
have the same, or you two of us have the exact same 4 as yours, Mark Brunell.
No, actually,
okay,
mine's
all right.
MJD.
Okay, I can understand both. Go first.
Oh, yeah. I think that, again, when we talk about the era of running backs, and maybe this is me giving a love to the position group too, because we are fading so much away from it. So I don't think we're going to be able to talk about running backs the way that we did in the 90s and early 2000s, and obviously pre that. But I mean, MJD, to me, you have a whole slogan of him because of how just powerful he was when he was on the football field and he was running the ball. And he's one of those guys, too, where he holds the rushing record touchdown still. And most people would probably think it's Fred, but it's MJD because you would always find him in the end zone. And so those are moments, and I think for me, so many of moments that I remember from Jags games when I was really when I just came back and I was really getting into football again, he was the guy scoring most of the touchdowns at the time. So it is maybe just in my head all the time of having that. But I just think that even you saw him as kick returner sometimes, which was really fun. I think he has like over 2,000 kick return yards too. And so I just love that aspect of MJD. But there were some, you mentioned McCardle, Mathis, like some of those names I was kind of like on the fence of adding, and obviously Brunell too.
Yeah, Rasheed Mathis is, because he's a local product and he was so good as far as especially getting interceptions, is a guy that I saw him on some people's lists. You mentioned the all-time scoring leaders. So Josh Scobie still leads as far as the points for the team because, of course, a kicker followed by Mike Hollis. And then it's MJD. But MJD, as far as touchdowns, to your point, 81 touchdowns, Fred Taylor 70. It doesn't seem like it should be like that, but there were so many other weapons on the team, like we talked about with Jimmy and Keenan. Yeah. When Fred was here, when MJD was here.
Years, too, MJ did it.
Yeah, when MJD was here, not nearly as many. One other thing about Jimmy Smith, I think the Jags thought that they had his replacement when they drafted Justin Blackmon. I think they thought this is going to be a guy that can put up similar numbers. And obviously, we know it didn't work out. I
also, side note off of MJD, saw the funniest tweet the other day because there was like this car, and it was like this kind of, I don't know what type of car it was. You know the new ones that it's like the weird looking truck that looks like the Tesla truck. Yeah. So it kind of looked like that, but it was like a shorter squished version, but it was like it looked like it should be in the army. And someone was like, this is the car version of MJD just because his arms are so big and he's like just stocky. And he even quote tweeted it was like, this is hilarious.
That is funny. I got to meet him back when I went to the Super Bowl with Jaguars Today. So 10 years ago now, we went to Phoenix. And that was my first time getting to interact with him. And Mike did the show with him on Sirius back then. And so got to see him for several days in a row. And he's just so affable. Such a down-to-earth guy. You know, you think when you're about to meet this celebrity, a lot of times, whether it's an athlete or musician, whatever it ends up being, you're intimidated and you think that, this person is like so famous. But I didn't get that vibe from him whatsoever. Yeah. He was just so genuine and relaxed and so nice to chat with. And he's a great guy. I have Mark Brunell for obvious reasons because I think he's the best quarterback to date in the Jaguars franchise history. But like I said earlier, Trevor Lawrence has to replace him. Now, yes, Blake Bortles holds the most passing yards in a season. He holds the most, or maybe Trevor surpassed him recently, but he certainly has the most touchdowns in one season with the 35. But those were a lot of garbage touchdowns, garbage time touchdowns. So, yeah, Mark Brunell, if you are a Jaguars fan who maybe is younger and doesn't remember these teams, go Google or YouTube Mark Brunell highlights. And he was mobile before mobile, I feel like, was even cool in the NFL.
Yeah. And it's hard. He was one of the ones, obviously, on the cusp of mine, too. And I think that when I was looking at this list and I started thinking about that 5 to 7 year time frame of who do I take off when it's time to add Trevor or Josh. And even there were some names like a Calais where I know some people want to add that, but to me I couldn't just because it was 2 years. You know, I need a little bit of more time as a Jaguar to be able to put you on the Mount Rushmore list. But Calais was fantastic, a player, a human, everything you want in that. Like I wish he could have been a longer, bigger part of the organization. And so some of the people that I feel like were on my cusp were along those lines. And I saw a lot of people with Bortles, and to me, that no way he's on my
I just assumed
list,
that was a little bit of a joke. Now, I will say, if I wasn't doing players only for this, then I would have the Weavers, Wayne and Dolores Weaver, and I would have Tom Coughlin as well. You also could now argue, since the news of the last few days with the stadium renovation getting approved by the city council, that Shad Khan belongs on there. So you almost need a separate Mount Rushmore for
organizationally and
exactly.
players.
The people who brought the team here or are keeping the team here. Tom Coughlin, certainly the first coach when it was an expansion franchise and the AFC Championship game that he brought the team to. Tom Coughlin then played another role later. Some would say not as good of a role. I think the reason the Jaguars in 2017 were successful, it was in part because of Tom Coughlin.
Yeah.
Was he a little too old school at times as far as the rules, wanting players here that violated the CBA, saying publicly that he expected players here when it was voluntary? Sure. But I think, and also as an aside, as a human, Tom Coughlin's absolutely on the Hall of Fame with everything that he's done for his family and the Tom Coughlin J Fund as well. But I think you could go in a whole nother direction there. And
for sure.
Let's hope that Doug Peterson is also a guy that in 5 to 7 years we discuss as well.
We could also put Doug Marone for getting us Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, yeah, I did see someone mention Frank Gore, and I was like, yes, he does belong in the Mount Rushmore if Trevor is who we think he is and brings us at least one Super Bowl victory. Yeah, I like that. That's funny. So, yeah, if you want to submit us yours, you can do that on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, 641-1010. You can certainly give us your list. And like I said, it can be owners, coaches, players, a mix, whatever you would like. All right. So, Taylor, there's a big storyline going on in the NFL right now as far as, because it's the offseason.
Yeah. Grasping at anything.
The moment that someone says something that I'll put in the category of feisty, everyone goes, oh, okay, I'm certainly going to learn more about this. So, Eric Edholm works for NFL.com, and he did a whole story that we would love to get fully into. We just don't have time. We have a couple guests today, a loaded show, as always. And so I did want to bring up his second overblown storyline in the NFL. Goes like this: Caleb Williams as an immediate success. So he's saying that is an overblown storyline. He says, perhaps not Andrew Luck level rookie hype here, but I believe expectations are higher for Williams in year one than they were for Trevor Lawrence a few years ago. Let's start there, and then we'll get to the juicy, gossipy stuff. But let's start there. Do you think the expectations for Caleb Williams are higher than what Trevor had for year one?
Well, yes, but I think that because the roster that he's going on to is 10 times better than what Trevor came to. And that, across the board, receiving weapons, running, the offensive line, defensive line, one of the best secondaries, honestly, in the league, potentially. He's coming to a way better position. The coach is still the question. There's a lot of Bears fans that do not like Eberflus, so that's still, to me, a similar area because I think the Jags at the time when Trevor came were also in that position of, like, if they have a really good season, Doug could stay, but if not, it's time to go. And that's
Who's the last coach Bears fans liked, by the way?
Lovey would be probably the last one. They were super excited about John Fox when he got there. That turned into a disaster. Trestman was even more of a disaster. Nagy was
we know all about disasters.
So Lovey Smith, they fired Lovey after a 10-win season, and Bears fans are still furious about that.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's the most loved. But I think that that's the main thing. So to me, I think the expectations are higher just because of the team that he's coming onto. Also, he wasn't drafted number one because the Bears sucked last year. He was drafted number one because the Panthers traded that pick to us for Bryce Young. So to me, it's two completely different scenarios of why these guys were picked number one by that team and the team they're going on to.
All right, so that brings us to the trash talking that's going on. Titans defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons said that he can't wait to say painted nails to Caleb Williams in a game because if people remember, Caleb Williams has had videos done and he's had his nails painted.
Well, like F Notre Dame or something was one of the ones he had. I can't remember. It was like Irish. I can't remember exactly what it said.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be a thing. I'm sure guys in the NFL are going to use that to kind of trash talk him because it's the easy route to go.
Are they going to paint their nails and be like, hey, Caleb, do you like these?
I don't know if they will. I think Caleb will. Like, I could see Caleb going out with like FG Bay on it the week they play Green Bay. Like, he will do that. He's that type of person. He could care less what anybody is saying. And they were, I have a couple clips that I wanted to play too because he was on the pivot, which obviously we know the pivot well here. And
Fred Taylor's podcast.
Yes, with Fred Taylor. And so they always do a fantastic job anyways because they're so good at talking to these athletes. They're all former athletes. So they have this.
Ryan Clark and Shannon Crowder as well.
And they have this extra level of being able to get to know these guys because they talk football, but then they talk like things that we just can't really relate to because we've never been the quarterback or, any football team.
Any professional athlete.
Yes. So I have two different clips. One I want to play of, and it's funny because this was actually done before the draft. He didn't even know he wasn't drafted yet. And in this, he's kind of talking about they ask multiple questions about like his mental health. That's one thing Caleb is really big on. And so he wanted to talk about the mental health aspect of kind of the type of person he is.
I don't mind confronting people. That's one. Two, and that's more on the, if I know people or if I'm gonna have to see people around, whatever the case may be, I don't mind confronting people. Guys on other teams and stuff, I keep quiet. I hold grudges. I hold all of that. And so when I see you, I'll remember it. And so when we get on the field and things like that, you'll hear from me. And so that's the football aspect of it.
So that one was actually, the next one's the mental health one. That one was him, and it was just funny to me because it was almost like he's saying, I hold grudges and I'll remember, but I'm not going to like let it affect me. And so it was funny because with the Simmons kind of comment, which Bears fans obviously got a hold of this, and it turned into this whole other level because Simmons was arrested for like beating up a girl back in 2019, and Bears fans were like, I'd rather my quarterback paint his nails than beat women. So talk to me later about that one.
And the Bears and Titans, for people who don't know, start the season
playing week
against
one.
each other.
Yeah, so that's obviously why it's a big thing too. Yeah. But then this next one is one of the reasons of why I've grown to really like his personality and who he is. He has a thing called Caleb Cares Foundation, and it's all about like mental health and helping young men and women just learn that it's okay to like, number one, like love yourself, but also be yourself and never let someone want to change you because be who you are type of thing. So this clip is about that.
When I look in the mirror, make sure you enjoy and love the man that's looking back at you. That's the most important thing for yourself as a person and human throughout this chaotic thing we call life. And so enjoying and loving the man or woman or, whatever the case may be, of whoever's looking back in that mirror. No matter if it's, social media hates you, loves you, whether it's the people around you, hates you, loves you. When you look in that mirror and you wake up, or you brush your teeth, or you say your affirmations, you say this and that about yourself, or whatever the case may be, when you hear your own voice that you love that person. So there's only one you. And so take care of that person mentally, physically, and emotionally. And then the pivot part. The pivot part of that question is, I would say they've all been about football for me because it's been, I can remember the team and the coach that coached me when I first started. I can't remember the school that I was at nor the teachers. So that's how much football is, right. What it does to me and for me and taught me. And so
multiple things of that. Number one, he's just who he is, and it's taken even me a little bit to get used to that because he is he's unapologetic. He loves the type of person. He loves who he is. He talks about how hard he worked to get there. So it's funny for me to see this because people will post the memes. And in this Pivot podcast, he also talks about how him and his best friend find the memes that people make of him on Twitter and send them to each other and laugh about them because they're like, this is hilarious. They'll, Caleb in a skirt or Caleb with the Jordan crying face or whatever. And they send them to each other and like laugh about it because that's the type of, he's so comfortable in himself, he doesn't care.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Which is hard, by the way.
I do think that in the very beginning, he said, talk to yourself and you have to love the person you see in the mirror and talk to yourself, in a positive fashion.
There's only one you.
Yeah, that's so important. It's so easy because we know ourselves better than anybody else. Yes. It's so easy to be negative on ourselves and to say mean things to ourselves. And especially for women, obviously there's that whole comparing yourself to what other women look like. But it's important to say good things
about you.
Yeah, when you wake up in the morning, when you go to sleep at night, like not necessarily give yourself an ego. I don't mean that, but certainly be like, you worked hard today. You've got this. Yeah. Whatever it ends up that you need to hear yourself say.
And it's wild. He's only 22 years old, and that's what blows my mind because the guy, obviously the football aspect of things, of what he's been able to do, but he also just started a business, an investment firm. He's about to finish graduating from USC. He owns a whole foundation about mental health, and then when you hear him talk, you're like, I was not that when I was 22 years old.
Most of us were not. These franchise quarterbacks are a whole nother level. All right, when we come back, Herm Edwards of ESPN will join us. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Soaking in summer on the First Coast.
Summertime.
1010XL.
Make your outdoor living perfect with Art of Natural Stone. Pavers, patios, gravel, pool decks, and more. Using all natural stone design, and they do the installation. Visit Art of Natural Stone on Route 1 near Bartram Springs or on Beach Boulevard.
Ready to drive away with a fortune? Join us at Best Bet St. Augustine for our Fairways to Fortune giveaway. Over $30,000 in prizes are up for grabs, including a top-of-the-line 6-seater golf cart. Join us July 27th at Best Bet St. Augustine for the big giveaway and hourly cash drawings. Come play and win big at Best Bet St. Augustine, located on State Road 207, seconds away from the I-95 exit. Visit bestbetjacks.com for details. That's bestbetjacks.com, and we'll see you in St. Augustine.
Facing a DUI charge or even a boating under the influence charge? Well, I'm your man, DUI lawyer Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. 285-4LAW. Once again, 285-4LAW.
I'm Hacker. Get more Gators on the Gator Bites podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Wednesday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL Florida Gator Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or TuneIn.
If you're an experienced, skilled plumber or welder that's MedGas certified and you're tired of working for a company that just doesn't treat you right, Local 234 is the place for you. Their pay is the best in the business. You'll walk away with $35.09 an hour in your pocket. With benefits, that's just over $50 an hour. Local 234 has been around since 1901, and that means something. Visit UA234.com to send your resume. Local 234. Make the right connection.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Prime Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 904-902-8222. 904-902-8222. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 904-902-8222.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and now that you have Honda boats on the showroom floor, tell them about the big boat sale.
We are excited. We got a big sale, 11th through 13th. You want to come on down, see us in person. Some of our boats are going to be up to $30,000 off.
Up to $30,000 off?
$30,000 in savings. It's a big sale event.
So they can start shopping online at cyclesofjacksonville.com. The size of the boats?
Anywhere from 19 to 24 foot, all with legendary Honda outboards.
Honda and Coach, check them both out on Atlantic near Regency. Cycles of Jacksonville.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
Hey sports fans, it's Hayes Carlyon for Kingfish Pest Control. Look, if mosquitoes ruin your summer fun, it's time to call Kingfish Pest Control. In my own experience, they are the kings of mosquito elimination. Call Kingfish Pest Control today and get 50% off your first treatment. Sign up for a full season of lockdown coverage and get half off your first treatment. Don't let mosquitoes steal your home field advantage. Reclaim your yard with Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
At Hodges Mazda, what Mazda moves you? Find out. Take advantage of 0% APR on the versatile lineup of 2024 Mazda crossover SUVs. Lauren Brooks here. Choose from the off-road ready 2024 Mazda CX-50, the stylish 2024 Mazda CX-30, or the tailored for you Mazda CX-5. With 0% APR for 36 months, you'll find your perfect CUV. The professional non-commissioned sales team always puts your best interests first, and you'll get 2 years free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants expires July 1st, 2024.
Instant Keys. You don't Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Hey guys, this is David Garrard, and I want to tell you about Clearwater Irrigation. They put my new sprinkler system in my new home at Jack's Beach, and I couldn't be happier. Oh, hey John.
What's up, Dave? You know what this means. You're going to have to sing.
Man, I can't sing.
Then you'll fit right in, buddy. Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers. Hit it, Dave.
And drainage too.
ClearwaterJacks.com. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Thursday afternoon in beautiful Jacksonville, FLA, as we welcome in Herm Edwards of ESPN. Herm, we didn't quite win the Super Bowl this week, but it kind of feels like that around here. This city, after the city council approved the Stadium of the Future renovation, 14-1. So we are celebrating that the Jaguars will be here for a very long time.
And that is good. This is a team I can remember when the franchise first came about. And I was in Tampa, actually. I was with the Buccaneers, and we used to come up all the time and scrimmage against Jacksonville during camp. So it's a team that has a great fan base. And when you think about last year, there were high expectations for these guys and got off to a pretty good start. And then with the injury of Trevor, obviously didn't finish very well. And when you think about this team, too, with this renovation of the stadium, they don't play good at home. I mean, they were 3-5 at home last year, and that has to obviously improve because you want to have a home field advantage, especially at that place. And the turnovers got to them. They had 30 turnovers last year. I think fifth most in the National Football League. So there's some things that they can clean up. I think the division is really going to be a fun division with a lot of young quarterbacks. C.J. Stroud, obviously. Richardson with the Colts, Levis obviously with the Tennessee Titans. So when you look at this division, a lot of young quarterbacks, and that's kind of going to be fun to watch in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I want to obviously talk a little bit more about the Jags in the AFC South, but I want to zoom out for a second because one of the conversations we've had a lot this offseason is about raising the expectations for a long time here in Jacksonville. It was more so hoping you get to 5-6 wins, and now that has flipped over to playoff expectations. So my question for you, what have you seen in your time coaching and your time as an analyst that these teams do that have found consistent success? Ones like Pittsburgh, for example. What are they doing different to make it just the longevity happen?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the players in the organization, right? Because at the end, the players play. And I say that as a former player. And I think when you go on these runs of getting into the playoffs, winning the division, if you look at the teams, the catalyst generally stays together. That's unique in the National Football League anymore because of free agency and the salary caps. It's hard to keep teams, but you got to keep your core players. I mean, one of those teams, obviously, when you think about it in the NFC, is San Francisco 49ers, what they've been able to do, right? So that has a lot to do with it. And here's the big one, the quarterback. Who's the quarterback? At the end of the day, the quarterback has a lot to do with it as well.
Certainly does, and that's why Trevor Lawrence just got the extension that he did, 5 years, $275 million. Herm Edwards with us of ESPN. All right, Herm, when you talk about the 49ers, you talk about other teams, to Taylor's point about the sustained success. The Jaguars went and got Eric Armstead. They went and got Gabe Davis and Mitch Morse from the Bills. They're trying to bring in guys that have experienced that winning culture year in and year out. Can 3 guys make that much of a difference?
It helps you when you have a veteran core leadership like that. These guys are used to winning. They will have a voice in the locker room. And when you think about Doug Peterson is a good football coach. He understands that, look, this team is right on the brink of really being one of those teams. What can I do to enhance it? And when you bring in players like you just mentioned, that always helps. And here again, understand this. These players, some of these players left, organizations that were winning, and they decided to come to Jacksonville. So, that says a lot as well.
Yeah, definitely a conversation we've had quite a bit, and kind of rolling off of that, one of the additions they made this offseason that seems to have attracted somebody like Eric Armstead is the addition of defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen. What are your thoughts on him and just how defensively that scheme can benefit the Jaguars as a whole, but especially maybe guys like a Trayvon Walker?
Well, obviously they're going to go 2-3-4. This is where Allen and Walker, will play at the end spot, and this will give you the ability, to move them around, but also to bring pressure. And I think it fits the style that coach wants to play, but the players have to fit it too. And I think when he looks at his team as he got here, as he inherited this defense, he's going, look, we got to play better on defense. We have to get our star players involved in this more. And it's a passing league. There's no doubt about it. You got to knock the quarterback down. You have to get after the quarterback. The team had 40 sacks. Look, it had 16 interceptions. That's pretty good. Pass defense was 26th in the league. Run defense was good. But the pass defense, obviously, a lot of that has to do with the pressure you put on the quarterback. So now, the two men you just mentioned, they're going to have the ability to get after the quarterback.
How do you think some of the guys that you coached will do in the NFL, ranging from Jaden Daniels to Johnny Wilson to Ricky Pearsall?
Oh, I think all those guys will, hopefully they have careers like Brandon Ayuk. But they're very talented. They're talented young guys. The thing about those guys is that when they were in college, how we practiced, how we went about things was a pro system. Everything was pro system. So when they walk in there, they're not going to be like, oh, this is different. No, we did this before when we were in college. We've seen this. So it's just a matter of, being patient with them. Obviously, the volume of what's going to be asked of them is going to be different. Jaden, especially at quarterback. But I think Jaden, and I said this, he's really close. We're really close. He reminds me a lot of Randall Cunningham. I played with Randall in Philly, so he has those traits, and it'll be fun to watch him. You mentioned Ricky. Ricky went to a good team in the fact that they can move him around in the slot. And Johnny Wilson is interesting. He's an interesting study. He doesn't want to play tight end. He when you say tight end, he's like, oh. And I used to tell him, I said, let me tell you something, man. When you get in the NFL, they're going to play you at tight end. I mean, that's where you should play. And if he buys into that, he can be a good player.
Now, Herm, when we're talking about the NFL draft and the years when you were a head coach, what was the most difficult part for you when it came to analyzing some of these guys and trying to identify which ones were going to be able to take that step in the NFL? Because we've seen it both ways here. We've seen guys surprise us. We've seen it the opposite way, unfortunately. But what was the most difficult part during that process for you?
Well, it wasn't real difficult in this sense when you lived it and you played, right? So it wasn't as difficult as now. Now, look, obviously going from college to the NFL is a big step. And my thing was always this. And look, we all make mistakes drafting guys. We get that. The thing that I found that meant the most to me when I drafted a guy, the conversations you had before the draft, right? And I wanted to walk away from a guy knowing this. Did he like football because what football provides him, or did he love football? There's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted the guys that love football, that love the grind of it all, the practicing. Look, you practice more than you play when it comes to football. I mean, all the hours you have to put in. Does he like that? Those are the guys that love football. There's other guys that, they like what football provides them. And they're not saying they're not good players. But I wanted the guy that loved football. And when I knew that, I knew we were getting a good player.
How quickly could you tell, as far as the draft process is concerned, about whether they love it?
Well, you got to go back to the history of the guy too, right? How was he in high school? How was he in college? These are all the questions you're asking. There's a lot, and then sometimes you ask all those questions and it still doesn't turn out right.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing you know about the NFL, that you get weeded out real fast. It's a hard league. It is a hard league, and there's a lot of talented players that have talent. And I used to tell them this all the time. Sometimes talent can be a curse if you don't use it correctly.
Yep, that is definitely true. And I think that when we look at the NFL and the teams that's successful that have found the continued success, you spoke on it a little bit, but when you have, that balance between the free agency and the draft and being able to have these veterans that come in with experience, but then also being able to obviously draft and develop some of these guys. In your opinion, from this offseason between free agency and the draft, a ton of quarterbacks, a ton of offensive players going early, which team to you or which player do you think will make the most impact with some of these moves they made this offseason?
Well, it's hard to say one guy, one team. I will say this. It's interesting. I think when you make moves on the offseason, the key for me is always to look at a player and say, does he fit? Does he fit where he's going? And that's up to the coach. A lot of players fail because you're asking them to do things they're incapable of doing. In other words, does the system fit the player's skill set? And sometimes coaches, they have their system means so much to them, they won't allow the player any ability to use his skill set because they won't adjust. And so that's the big key for me when you watch teams on the offseason. Everybody's happy on the offseason. Everybody's winning on the offseason. After the draft and free agency, everybody's happy. Fans are happy. Oh, we're all happy. Yeah, everybody's in the playoffs in the offseason, right? And so it comes back when you look at certain teams. Now, there's certain teams you look at and you go, are they going to get in the playoffs, right? And you can look at the NFC and the AFC, and we kind of know who they are, right? Are the Kansas City Chiefs playoff team? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are the Buffalo Bills playoff team? Yeah. I mean, you can go down the line in certain divisions and go, yeah. So now you look at, who's going to take their spot? All of a sudden, in the AFC South, can two teams come out of there as playoff teams? Be interesting.
Yeah, that's a question we've been asking.
Yeah. I mean, like all of a sudden, Harbaugh goes to the Chargers. Are the Chargers a little bit better? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to say yeah. Antonio Pierce last year went to the Raiders. I mean, he became the head coach, right? Look, they were 4-2 in their division. 4-2. It's interesting. I mean, and that's what makes the league so unique. We always used to say, and this is when what's the difference between 10-7 and 7-10? Probably 20 plays.
Mm-hmm. And a little bit of luck.
Right. It will always have something to do with luck or health and all that. So the ball bounces your way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the difference. And that's why you see teams flip, and that's what makes the league so unique. And that's what excites the fan bases all the time, because the fact that you look at your season and you go, man, we could have gotten the playoffs. Yeah. But, there's a play here or there you got to make, and that's what makes it so exciting.
You got that right. Well, Herm, we really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. There he goes. Former player in the NFL, former head coach in college football, head coach in the NFL, as well as position coaches in the NFL, or a position coach in the NFL as well. Herm Edwards of ESPN. We really appreciate his time. Taylor has a tangent. When we return, you are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguar football starts here.
Hey, we got a good win today, man. All I want to hear is Duval.
1010XL.
Enter the Snickers Ice Cream Chill All Summer Sweepstakes for your chance to win a summer supply of Snickers ice cream, a meet and greet with our head coach, and a VIP training camp experience during Jaguars training camp. For more information, please visit jaguars.com/sweepstakes. The Snickers Ice Cream Chill All Summer Sweepstakes ends 11:59 on Monday, July 8th. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Must be 18 or older and a legal resident of Florida or Georgia. Promotional period is June 4th to July 8th. Total ARV of prizes is $14.20. Prize details and winner selection date specified in official rules. Sponsor Jacksonville Jaguars, LLC, 1 Everbank Stadium Drive, Jacksonville, Florida, 32202. Odds of winning depend on total number of entries received.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful, safely in our dining room or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
The coolest thing going on right now is the summer fan sale with 3 ways to save at First Coast Lighting and Fans. Browse their huge selection of high-quality fans to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Buy 1 fan, save 10%. Buy 2, save 15%. Buy 3 or more and save 20% off summer pricing on all fans. Visit their showroom near the avenues while inventory is still available and discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes at First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and the XL Primetime crew will be live at the all-new Leonard Truck Outfitters this Friday, starting at 2. Tons of cool giveaways, including a new golf cart. Join us at Leonard Truck Outfitters on Beach Boulevard this Friday from 2 to 4.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On June 27, 1977, Giants' Willie McCovey smashes 2 home runs in the same inning against the Cubs.
Did you know a metal roof from Prime Roofing will last 2 to 3 times longer than a shingle roof? If you want a better roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Schedule your free estimate today at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
Find your why in your next career move at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion into a fulfilling career, the Y is an equal opportunity employer and is now hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, swim instructors, and more. Plus, Y staff enjoy benefits including free YMCA membership and free childcare while you work. Find your passion, find your why in a career at fcymca.org.
Brackish Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the smoothest local vodka you can find. Made right here in Jacksonville, Florida, 100% from corn, Brackish Vodka is the local gluten-free choice. Brackish Vodka, for those that live life slightly salty, a proud partner of the Jaguars.
Now you can enjoy all your favorite cocktails with Brackish Vodka downtown at Dos Gatos.
If you've played sports or still lead an active life, chances are joint pain is nothing new. This is Dr. George Barry of Barry Orthopedics, and we like to be your option when it comes to taking care of your body and getting back in the game. From shoulders to elbows to hip and knee pain, Barry Orthopedics can diagnose and treat a variety of injuries that are causing you pain. We are Barry Orthopedics and online at barryorthopedics.com. With more than 30 years of experience, our team is here to care for your entire family.
Find out more at barryorthopedics.com. That's BAHRI orthopedics.com.
We've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino? Canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino, though, is here to change the game. Mia here, and you can dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your home. The live casino is so easy to use. I just go to mybookie.ag and click Live Casino at the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin, just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience where the action is in your hands, and yes, it's true, you do not even have to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL and a revamped loyalty program ensuring a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win. Only with MyBookie, and don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
This weekend is going to be intense. The Ratified Credit Union Jacksonville Axemen are bringing the pain on Saturday. No pads, no helmets, just full contact action. Get there early. The Axe Women kick off at 5, the Axemen at 7. Tickets start at $10 and kids under 12 get in free. This might be your last chance to see Rugby League this summer. Visit jacksaxe.com for tickets and game information.
Shop the Sherwin
Sherwin-Williams July holiday sale and get 30% off paints and stains from June 28th through July 8th. With prices starting at $34.29, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Appreciate Herm Edwards' time. And coming up at 1 o'clock, we'll be chatting all things college football with Tony Barnhart, Mr. College Football. But Taylor right now has a tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
All right, this one is a non-sports related tangent. It's something.
Ooh, what you got?
It's something I think about often, but recently with
Food.
yes, that too. Recently with my no AC car, it's stuck out even more. But I just want to make a public service announcement to when you're at a red light, pay attention. So when you turn green, you go when the light turns green. So this light up here, the one at Hogan and Southside, already kind of a pain in the butt because it only usually lets like 3 or 4 cars in at a time. So if that line's long, you're already sitting there. Sometimes it skips. Like if you're not all the way to the line, it won't trigger it and it won't turn. So then you're sitting there a long time anyways. Yesterday, this is not an exaggeration. Yesterday, I pull up. There was probably like 8 cars in front of me. So in my head, I already was like, I'm probably going to sit at least one through this because there was a lot. And technically, you could go up and go on that service road, but even that is like a no turn on red. So sometimes you're sitting there forever too. And I follow the rules. And so well done. Yes. And so I'm sitting there. It turns green. Nobody's moving. And I'm like, okay. Finally, someone honks at the person up front. The light turns red again. Then the lady goes. So first of all, dangerous because you're not paying attention whatsoever at this time. So the one lady gets through, and she gets through after the light turns red. So we sit through this whole other cycle. It turns green again. Person up front, they're not going. They're just sitting there. At this point, everyone's kind of frustrated in line. You could tell. So like multiple people are all honking their horns trying to go. I don't know if I'm guessing on their phone because they were like looking down and probably not paying attention that everyone in the line is honking at you. So they go and then the light turns red. So 2 cars get through on that one. Sit there with a third time. And like I said, at this point, I don't have air conditioning, so it's even worse because I'm just sitting there baking. And all you have to do is pay attention. And so it bothers me so badly because I'm that person. Like I also, like I said, I'm a rule follower. I know you are the same way. Mm-hmm. So it's like when I'm at that, I'm the front of the line. I'm going to make sure that I go when this thing turns
put your phone down if you're the first person in line.
You've got to be that person.
You have the responsibility.
Because everybody's waiting behind you.
Correct.
And especially lights like that. And we have a few of them in Jacksonville who are the ones, the lights that are like the more triggered, censored ones. Obviously, some are just on a rotation, so it's a little different. But my PSA, please pay attention when you're sitting at red lights because there's people with no AC in Florida right now that are, I was cooking.
I'm sure because yesterday was one of the hotter days. And so I can understand that. Yeah, I'm with you. Please pay attention. I was coming here yesterday in that south side area where you go in the left turn lane, but you go past the south
it's like
side.
A little
and then
weird, like U-turn type
U-turn.
thing. Mm-hmm.
And so there's 2 lanes in which you can then go across beach to stay on south side. And I get in whichever one is shorter, right? Makes perfect sense. They both get to go and then they merge. The right lane merges into the left. Well, the front of the lane, the right lane, the front of that right lane, we're honking, not moving. Honking, not moving. Finally, I get in the left lane then I realized that car wanted to turn left. You can't turn left. So I get just past the car and then it turns left. Thankfully did not hit me, but you can't do that. If you need to go left, you need to still go straight. Then you make your U-turn. And for crying out loud, like Taylor said, follow the rules. All right, we've got lunch on Chick-fil-A right now. Be caller number 4 at 641-1010 and you'll win lunch for 2 from Chick-fil-A. We've got Tony Barnhart, Mr. College Football, joining us next right here on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The thrill of victory. The agony of defeat. That's why we're here.
It's like you said, it's all hard.
1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Why Arlington Toyota? All right, you've got to hear. Just drive to their lot and you will see that Arlington has a huge selection of new vehicles in stock in one location. No more driving around trying to figure out what you want. Arlington has it. And every new Toyota purchase comes with Arlington's lifetime warranty, unlimited time, and miles. Plus, you now get 60 days to love your new purchase or exchange it, and Arlington's Credit Helper program to help get you financed. Shop arlingtontoyota.com today.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? You have questions? Call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700, offices Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
There's certain places you know if you go in, they got what you're looking for, like Gate Convenience Stores and Cold Modelo's. That's the ticket. Or get on the craft side of things with something from Bold City or Sweetwater. Hit the cooler at Gate, full of choices and all of them good.
Mia here, and you've heard me rave about my friends at Duck Duck Rooter, the #1 master septic contractor in all of Florida. But don't forget about Duck Duck Air Conditioning, the Jacksonville area's AC experts. Folks, the temperature has already turned up a notch this summer. Should your AC not be working at your home or business, Duck Duck AC can help. Call 904-862-6769.
I have done in my career literally thousands of joint replacements.
Meet Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, National Medical Director at QC Kinetics, an acclaimed orthopedic surgeon who now advises patients try all they can do to avoid the knife and consider regenerative medicine.
I myself was able to continue skiing for 10 years after my knees started to be a problem because I accessed regenerative medicine.
Now, after 20 years of study, research, teaching, publications, and clinical experience, Dr. Scheinkup is regarded as one of America's true pioneers.
This is the future of medicine.
Dr. Scheinkup came to QC Kinetics after seeing what they were doing around the country, helping tens of thousands of patients get lasting relief from joint pain with no surgery and no drugs.
QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
Call now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
Mia here, and we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino? Canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. The live casino is so easy to use. Just go to MyBookie and click Live Casino at the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action's in the palm of your hands and you don't even need to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL. A revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win, only with MyBookie.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. The deal has been sealed with the City Council officially approving the Stadium of the Future proposal. Following the approval, Mayor Donna Deegan answered what will happen next.
Well, hopefully as soon as Council gets back from their break on the 17th, we'd like to start looking at the rest of the CBA. I would like that to be passed separate from the budget as part of this agreement. That's how we get matching funds. That's how we move together to make sure that this is honored for the entirety of the contract. And that's what I'm going to be working with Council on.
The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp were sunk by the Nashville Sounds in an extra inning rally yesterday afternoon, 12-11, snapping their 4-game winning streak. The Shrimp and Sounds are now tied in their 6-game series 1-1. They'll get back at it tonight for Game 3 at 7:05. It's 92 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you as we welcome in Tony Barnhart, Mr. College Football columnist for TMG College Sports. Tony, thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks, Lawrence. Good to be with you.
We really appreciate it. All right, let's get to the fact that the 2024 season, Tony, will be the first season without Nick Saban as the head coach of Alabama since, 2007? What is it going to look like without Nick at the helm of the Crimson Tide?
It's going to be different because we're used to having him there. We're used to Alabama being in the middle of the national championship run, but at the same token, it's also going to be interesting to see what the competition looks like without Nick Saban there. Obviously, Kirby Smart sort of takes over as the senior coach in that league, and so how all that's going to work, how Alabama's going. The two biggest stories in college football for this season are the 12-team playoff and what's going to happen at the University of Alabama. I think those are going to carry us all year long.
Yeah, Tony, one of the things coming out of the SEC meetings that you said you took out of those meetings was Kalen DeBoer. You said he's very secure in who he is. Tell us a little bit about that, just kind of the vibe that you got from Kalen taking over a job that has probably some of the highest expectations in college football.
Well, there's no question about that, the high expectation. But you're talking about a guy who he's coached 2 years at the FBS level, at the Power 5 level, and did very well at Washington. He's like 114 and 12 or some ridiculous kind of thing. And he just, in my conversations with him, I just wanted to know, a lot of coaches would not like the idea that their predecessor was just down the street from their office. And he said, no. Why? He said, why? Think of all the institutional knowledge that Coach Saban, they call him Coach Saban. Think of all the institutional knowledge that Coach Saban has. I would be crazy not to take advantage of that. And so I think he's secure enough in who he is that he can ask for help from Saban and his staff.
Tony, when it comes to the longest tenured SEC coach, you mentioned Kirby's certainly been there a while. Mark Stoops at Kentucky. Did you ever think when he got hired back in 2012 that he'd still be there?
No, I sure didn't, because I didn't know if Kentucky would be patient enough with him. And to their credit, and specifically I'm talking about the athletic director, Mitch Barnhart, no relation. I mean, after 2 seasons, he went 0-8 and 0-8 in the SEC in his first 2 years, and there were people I know that wanted him out of there. And Mitch Barnhart has told me that people wanted him out of there. He wasn't going to fit, but he stuck with him. And not only did Kentucky stick with Mark Stoops, they invested in about a 3-year stretch $120 million to renovate the football stadium and another $60 million to build a football office training complex for the players. So they basically invested $200 million just when the fans wanted Mark Stoops out of there, and, of course, they've been rewarded.
They certainly have, and the reason I asked that question is because you mentioned the patience. Do Florida fans need to have, and does the administration there in Gainesville, do they need to have more patience with Billy Napier?
Absolutely. And this is a big patient year. I read somewhere that a coach who was not quoted on the record, but says, when you look at their schedule, when you look at the Gators' schedule, he could go 5-7 and have a great year for what he's done. So it is easily the best, the hardest schedule in all of college football. And I think the Gator fans, I think they're going to have a good year. Now, are they better than Georgia? No. And now you don't have the divisions anymore, and so that's how you end up with that schedule. So to go back to your original question, yes, this is one of those survived seasons, and I think if the Gators will give them one more year, get through this year, I think they'll be very happy in 2025.
Now, Tony, taking a look at a couple of those other Florida teams, there's some high remarks being said both about Florida State and Miami this season of what they could possibly do. A lot of questions for the Noles, though, obviously, surround DJ Uiagalelei. So thoughts on his next chance in Tallahassee, and do you think that it'll be enough for them to have another successful season?
I think they're going to win the ACC and make the college football playoff. I think they're still that talented. And I think last year ended in it was just a devastating finish the last year. But I think they bounced back from that, and they win the ACC and get into the playoffs.
Tony Barnhart with us, Mr. College Football. You can find him on Twitter or X at Mr. CFB. All right, Tony, what do you say to the people who say that the 12-team playoff is watering down the regular season in college football?
No, not a chance. Not a chance. It's going to be one of the best things that's happened to college football because it's more inclusive. There are more people who get an opportunity. I mean, think about this, Lauren. First of all, the top 4 teams in the playoffs get a bye, which is just that time of year is a precious thing. But seeds 5, 6, 7, and 8 not only get in the playoff, they get to host a college football playoff game on their campus. And how cool is that going to be? So I just think to get more people involved has always been an issue for the committee, and this is I just think it's going to be great. I am looking forward to it.
Same, Tony. It's something that from the beginning I've been kind of excited when they were talking about this expansion. And one of the bigger storylines, we just talked about Saban and the playoff expansion, but also the conference realignment. So in your opinion, which conference when it comes to the SEC or Big Ten do you see altered most by the additions that are coming this year?
When you have to say the Big Ten, the Big Ten, when you add Oregon, Washington, UCLA, USC. I mean, to add those 4 West Coast teams and incorporate them in what you're doing, that's the biggest impact. Now, in terms of quality of play, I think adding Texas and Oklahoma to the iconic brands in the history of the sport obviously helps the SEC, and it's going to be incredibly competitive. And we're going to have a lot of arguments about is a 10-2 in the SEC better than an 11-1 in the Big 12? I think you could make that point.
Certainly. Tony, I don't know if you saw the EA College Football 25 top 10 toughest places to play, but 1 through 5 went Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, and Georgia with their respective stadiums. Do you agree with that top 5 or disagree?
I do agree. I mean, that 4 out of the top 5 would be from the SEC. Doesn't surprise me at all. And what coaches have told me over the years coming into this league. Now, can Washington line up on one given Saturday and beat Alabama? Sure, absolutely. But the one coach told me, he said, the problem with playing in the SEC is you play Alabama this week, you play LSU next week, you play Texas A&M after that, then you play Georgia after that, and then LSU after that. It's just a cumulative effect of playing those kind of games week after week after week. And that's why the SEC is sort of throwing down the gauntlet to the selection committee. He said, hey, you got to look. It's not just the record. Who did you play, and who did you beat? And that's why I think when they start releasing the weekly rankings, we're going to have some knockdown, drag-out arguments. It's going to be wild.
It is. I am so excited. And I think that when we look at this last year's draft, Tony, 6 quarterbacks went in the first round of this draft. And so when you look at some of these teams, it looks like some were a little more prepared and ready for their next quarterback to come in. In your opinion, which of the teams who lost one of those top quarterbacks is most ready to just continue rolling?
Oh, I think I'm going to be interested in watching LSU and what they do with Grant Nussmeier taking over. It's going to be interesting watching Kentucky. I think they will be in a very, very interesting situation. Florida with Graham Mertz, he's back, but I want to see how the freshman plays. So there's a lot of good storylines for quarterbacks in this league this year.
Yes, certainly. All right, so the SEC does add Texas, Oklahoma. We just talked about the Big Ten expansion. I think most people are in agreement that Texas is going to have a really good season. What do you think about Oklahoma?
Oh, I think Oklahoma is they're not in the same position as Texas. I think Texas has a deeper roster, obviously incredible play at quarterback. and we all want to see how much, if any, Arch Manning is going to get on the field this year because he's used up his redshirt year. But it's going to be fascinating to watch. It really is.
Now, when we take a look, you just mentioned the Big Ten and how much fun they can be to watch, and what Ohio State did this offseason. A lot of people are really, really high on Ohio State and saying that this should be the year that they win the matchup against Michigan again. In your opinion, if they somehow do not win that, which is still likely, do you think it's a conversation that Ryan Day is gone, or do you think he's safe no matter what?
Well, if they don't beat Michigan, this is the year to do it, and I think they will. I've got Ohio State in my top 4. But your question was, Lauren, will there be discussion about making a change if Ohio State does not beat Michigan? And obviously that answer is yes. Remember that they have a new athletic director in Ross Bork. Gene Smith, who hired Ryan Day, is now retiring, and that's always a fact. If you're not the athletic director that hired you as a coach, then you're always a little bit nervous.
That you are. All right, you mentioned Ohio State's in your Final Four. Georgia, I'm guessing. Who else?
Georgia, Ohio State, Utah. Utah's going to win. Utah's going to win the Big 12. You know the top 4. Listen, I think we can feel pretty confident that the top 4 conference champions are going to get in. Utah is going to win the Big 12, and they're going to get in. And so, and the 4th team is going to be the ACC. It is going to be Florida State. So those are my top 4.
Tony, before we let you go, just kind of rolling off of that then, because we had a conversation earlier in the week and we ranked our top 5 college quarterbacks. Is Cam Rising in your top?
He's got to be. Mm-hmm. He's got to be. Obviously, the quarterbacks I just mentioned there. So, I think Cam Rising is that fact that he came back for his senior year and they knew they had a chance to do some damage. I think that'll be interesting. It really will.
Tony, final thing, tell us about the 19 of Green, your experience with the first integrated football team in a small town in Georgia.
Well, the fall of 1970, roughly 89 years ago, I was a senior at Greene County High School in Greensboro, Georgia. That's exactly halfway between Atlanta and Augusta, off of I-20. And the courts ruled that we had like a lot of schools back then. We had a lot of counties back then. We had a white high school, we had a black high school, and there was very little integration. The courts said you will completely integrate in the fall of 1970, so we did. And we were thinking this is going to be great. We're going to combine 2 big high schools. We're going to have 60 or 70 guys. We're going to be awesome. Well, when spring practice was over in the spring of 1970, we had 19 players, and that's what we went to battle with. Those 19 players. We lost our first 2 games, then won 7 out of our last 8 to make the playoffs. But the story, the book, is really not about football. It's about the fact that 52 years after we played our last game together, we're still in touch. And our black quarterback, Charles Turner, remains one of my best friends. In fact, I talked to him today, and it's just a story about how a group of guys who came from completely different backgrounds, how we bonded. And back in December, we had a reunion. And 9 of the 15, there are 15 living players now. 9 of the 15 were able to make it, and we had a book signing for all the players got to sign books, and it was a great experience. But it's really about relationships. It's about race relations and the fact that we've come a long, long way in race relations, but we still. What I learned from doing the research and talking to a lot of people is we still have a long way to go.
Absolutely. In the history, like you said, it's something that we can all learn from. All right. We really appreciate your time today, Tony.
You bet. Enjoyed it. Take care.
All right. There he goes. Tony Barnhart, Mr. College Football on Twitter or X, also columnist for TMG College Sports. All right. When we now get to our next topic, Taylor, I wanted to get to the blue chip ratio. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are confused as to exactly what that is. And so Bud Elliott, who used to cover Florida State only, now covers all of college football for CBS Sports. He created this blue chip ratio, and what that means is that college football teams need to sign more 4- and 5-star recruits, aka blue chip prospects, than 2- and 3-star players over the previous 4 recruiting classes. So he delved into the analysis back in 2013 is when he first created the blue chip ratio. Now it's widely used throughout college football. And there is a key thing to note, and that is that transfers do not account into your blue chip ratio. He has a lot of reasons for that, but mainly he's focusing on the high school recruits. I wonder if transfers eventually will become a part because they're playing a bigger and bigger role, certainly when it comes to college football. But for the here and now, this is talking about the players that
are recruited.
Yeah, the head coaches have recruited. So in his model, you can make the college football playoff, the 12-team playoff, especially now that it has been expanded.
Yeah.
You can make that without needing your blue chip ratio to be over 50%.
Okay.
So again, more 4 and 5 stars than 2 and 3 stars. You can make the college football playoff with a ratio less than 50%. You just cannot win the national championship with a ratio less than 50%. And since he started it in 2013, every single school that's won has had the blue chip ratio of 50% or higher. Some have been closer to 50% than others. Others, like Alabama, certainly has been much higher than that.
Yeah.
In the 80s. But he has narrowed it down to which teams can actually win the college football national championship based off of their blue chip ratio. So I'll tell you the teams, because that's, of course, what everyone wants to know, right? Is my team is my team in this group of teams that can win the national championship? Like I said, they can make the college football playoff, but they can't win the national championship. All right, so Ohio State and their blue chip ratio, 90%. Is anyone surprised by that?
No.
But Ryan Day yet could still be on the hot seat.
Yes,
That's insane.
That's why I asked that question, because I'm just like, it's wild to me.
It is wild.
About.
But there are Buckeyes that absolutely cannot stand losing to the school up north. They won't even say the name Michigan of that school. So they are furious that Ryan Day has lost to Jim Harbaugh several years in a row. All right, the next team, and again, no surprise for a lot of these, but Alabama comes in at 88%. What Nick Saban obviously has been able to do there in Tuscaloosa is recruit at the highest level year in and year out. Will that fall off with Kalen DeBoer? That's what we will wait and see. We will have to wait 4 years to know what Kalen DeBoer's blue chip ratio is after he takes over. Then you've got Georgia, 80%. Kirby Smart, also excellent recruiter, no surprise there. The next one shouldn't surprise people based off of how much money they've spent, and that would be Texas A&M coming in at 79%. The NIL that Jimbo Fisher was able to utilize his last couple seasons there at Texas A&M was able to get A&M to have better recruiting classes than Nick Saban and Alabama. That's where you had them having the barbs back and forth and things like that. And obviously now Mike Elko, the former Duke head coach, will be the head coach at Texas A&M. Can he keep that recruiting rolling? It's the same question we just had with Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. Oregon, another school with great NIL dollars, thanks to Phil Knight and Nike, 76%. Oklahoma, 73%. Again, that's a school that traditionally has done really well. They just signed Brent Venables to an extension recently, so they believe in him, even though it seemed pretty rocky after year one, after they lost Lincoln Riley to USC. You've got another recruiting powerhouse in Texas, 72%. Steve Sarkisian has, I think, exceeded expectations there at Texas, followed by LSU, 70%. Again, I would say no surprise. LSU is a fertile recruiting bed. Same with Texas. Same with Oklahoma. Georgia,
the area
Alabama,
they live helps so much
Ohio,
too.
Absolutely, yeah. Where
the
where
talent
the
they get out
is.
of Louisiana in general is just massive, obviously, and they're the school pretty much.
They are the school. Yeah, you got that right. So yeah, LSU 70%, and then your school, which I think would surprise some people, Notre Dame 67%.
These next two, I'll just spoil it for a couple people. Notre Dame, Clemson are the reason that I do think you have to start including transfer portals. Transfer portal players, because I think that would alter this list, especially once it gets to this point. I'm not so sure ahead of that, because we just talked about Ohio State's transfer portal and how well they did this offseason, and the majority of these the other day when we were going through the quarterbacks and all the portal guys that they ended up getting. But when it comes to these, and Notre Dame does it every now and then, but I feel like it's always kind of the other guy a lot of years that they end up getting, even with, Riley Leonard. Matt Hayes is super high on Riley Leonard. We will see. He's coming off an injury. And then obviously we have the whole kind of joke with Clemson of not using the transfer portal at all. But there's probably some other schools that maybe aren't the best at recruiting, but use that portal in such a good way that it would launch them above Clemson, I think, and Notre Dame.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I do think I just went back and reread what he specifically said about transfers, and it's because he says, again, Bud Elliott is the one who invented the blue chip ratio. He says, through 4 years of heavy transfer portal activity, national titles are not being won primarily through the portal.
And I'm wondering how much that's going to change, though.
And that's exactly why. Yeah, I do think that
because we're just talking about all the quarterbacks we talk about, the majority of them are portal quarterbacks.
Right, absolutely. So again, 16 teams can win the national championship according to the blue chip ratio. So we left off Clemson, 64%. And then we have a couple Florida schools, Florida 63%, Miami 61%. Florida, surprising to people, I think that they'd be here because of the fact that Dan Mullen basically stopped recruiting.
Yeah.
But Billy Napier has done a good job. And so the one final year of Mullen would be counted in this. And now a couple years for Napier, 3 years. And so Florida's... the recruiting area, especially for Miami as well. If you can keep the guys in your state going to your universities, you're going to have 4 and 5 star prospects time and time again. All right, I'll round out the list. Penn State, 61%, USC, 59%, Michigan, 56%, and Auburn, 53%. Those are the only 16 schools, again, according to Bud Elliott's blue chip ratio,
50%.
that can win the national championship because, yes, they have over 50%. But he does note he expects Florida State to join the list next year. No other team is even 2 foreseeable recruiting classes away from crashing the party. So if you're, let's say, an Oklahoma State fan and you're wondering, can my school eventually make it on into this list? Well, for as of now, no.
I want to share this too. So just to refresh so this is the blue chip ratio going into last season. The highest was Alabama at 90%, Ohio State behind that at 85%, Georgia 77%, Texas A&M 73%, Clemson 72%, LSU 71%. I'll just go Texas, Oklahoma, Oregon, Notre Dame, Florida, Miami, Penn State, Michigan, USC, Auburn. So it's interesting because obviously there's some on that list that no way we were seeing win last year. But then there's a team like Washington who's left off of it, and we saw what they did last season.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where that I think would have been the first team. If had Washington won the national championship, I think the Huskies would have been the first team to buck the trend and be the anomaly as far as the teams that have won being over 50% as far as the blue chip ratio is concerned. And yeah, he went back through starting in 2011 and went through what their blue chip ratios were. So like I said, some were in the high 80s, some were closer to 50%, but every single one since 2011 has been a blue chip ratio of 50% or more. But like you said, had Washington been able to beat Michigan,
It would have been breaking some historical
he would have probably been really upset, pounding his fist on the table going, I worked so hard at all this analytics. But look, the good news is for most people listening, your team is probably one of those 16.
Yeah. We have some breaking news, by the way.
Oh, go for it.
Some big breaking news. Marissa Lawrence and Trevor are pregnant.
Okay.
I just saw that she posted it on Instagram.
I have to say, round of applause, absolutely. I have been telling y'all in breaks over the last 2 weeks or so that I had a suspicion that I thought she was, but I certainly was not going to say anything on air until the news was announced. I have this weird sixth sense of knowing when people are pregnant. It's very strange. I've done it with several friends well before they were ready to share the news publicly. I've said, I think you're pregnant. And then they're like, I can't, I'm not even at the point where I can tell you yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had this gut feeling over the last couple weeks that she was. And so then seeing her in person when Trevor signed the extension and they met, I was trying to figure it out, but she's, I'm sure, still early enough that she certainly is not to the bump phase yet. But
there's a little bump and she has an ultrasound, but she just had a little Lawrence on the way.
Well, that is awesome. And I know they have friends that are
what a year for
have
Trevor.
already have already had kids, and they have friends that are pregnant as well right now. So it's fun for all of them. So yeah, congratulations to the Lawrences. I wonder what that baby will be named.
Oh,
whether it'll be a boy or a girl.
Let's start sending our baby names to them.
All right, when we come back, we will get it to Chad Ryder's all-rookie list. There is a Jaguar on it, but it's not who you think. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. You know Dan Hicken.
My ignorance amuses me.
And you know Jeff Prosser.
Hey, at least I'm housebroken.
The Drill.
So why are you guys here anyway?
Because flakes taste better in the morning.
You eat what you like, I'll eat what I like.
On 1010XL.
Imagine driving a late model Corvette, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, Honda, Chevy, Ford, and more, all at a fraction of the original sticker price. Visit Vaughn Motor Group's indoor showroom and browse a great selection of dream cars that are inspected with warranties. Before you make your next auto purchase, check out Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard or at vaughnmotorgroup.com for a complete inventory listing. If you can dream it, you can drive it at Vaughn Motor Group.
Enjoy the thrill of the grill at John Smith Subs with specialty subs like the Steak Bomb, the Gator, plus a full lineup of cold and hot deli subs, including the best Cuban and Duval. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs on Hodges and JTB.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Pull up a chair at the table for some Saturday afternoon sports talk with Compton and Company.
So you want to talk about this or what?
Join Compton and Company noon to 2 Saturdays for more conversation about the teams you care about most.
I have questions. I need answers.
On 1010XL.
Mia here. Summer is officially heating up, and in Jacksonville, that means fun in the sun, days at the beach, and living that sweet Florida life. But you know what makes life even sweeter? A new Toyota from Arlington. Why Arlington Toyota? All right, you've got to hear this. Just drive to their lot and you will see Arlington has a huge selection of new vehicles in stock in one location. No more driving around trying to figure out what you want. Arlington has it. And at Arlington, every new Toyota purchase comes with Arlington's lifetime warranty. That's unlimited time and miles. But it keeps getting better. How about 60 days to decide if you love your new purchase or exchange it for one that you do? Worried about financing? Don't be. Arlington is here to help with the Arlington Credit Helper, and you even get a complimentary car wash with every service. Oh, and did I mention, Arlington has an amazing 4.7-star rating and over 20,000 Google reviews. It's going to be one sweet summer when you shop in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician, Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular strength training is key to maintaining muscle mass. Like muscle building, you need to stress the muscle to maintain strength. This means lifting enough weight and doing enough reps to the point where it's too hard to do one more. Yoga and Pilates are also lower impact muscle building workouts that help maintain lean body mass and improve flexibility. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
Bolt City Heating and Air is here to keep you cool this summer. Anytime, any day, whenever you need fast, reliable air conditioning service. Their friendly technicians have fully stocked work vans, so they can get your AC done on site the same day. Rely on a family-owned, Jacksonville-grown company this summer to keep your home cooling system working smarter, not harder. Experience the bold difference. Visit BoldCityAC.com to schedule your service appointment. BoldCityAC.com.
Pickett here. Brace for hurricane season with our friends at Rhino Shield. Their home exterior coatings withstand 96-mile-per-hour wind-driven rains, keeping your home safe and dry. Rhino Shield's advanced ceramic technology also helps keep your home cooler and reduces your energy bill. This summer, take advantage of their 30% off, 0% interest financing offer, plus a 25-year warranty. Call Rhino Shield, 414-4868. That's 414-4868 for a free estimate, or visit rhinoshieldjax.com. That's rhinoshieldjax.com.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
Wondering what you're going to do for dinner tonight? Southern Steer Butcher is a full-service butcher, and we grind and make sausage in-house every day.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dell, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. Mia O'Brien on vacation. She'll be back next week. In case you missed it, Trevor Lawrence's wife is pregnant, and they just announced that to the world. So excited for them. Congratulations to them. The baby Lawrence will join their two adorable little dogs, Indy and Jackson.
Yes. So cute.
So cute. It's
What
right.
a couple weeks
For Jacksonville.
Trevor Lawrence franchise quarterback contract, new stadium announced, now a baby Lawrence coming, and so a bunch of stuff obviously happening in a couple of weeks here in Jacksonville.
Seriously, and I go back, Taylor, to, and we'll get to the all-rookie list in just a second, but I go back to the end of the season. The Jaguars, all they had to do was win one more football game, failed to do it. You lose in just the worst possible way to the Tennessee Titans to end the season, and the Texans go on to win the division because the Texans barely beat the Colts. Then we have the press conference with Trent Baalke saying that Josh Allen will be a Jaguar, but they hadn't actually had conversations leading to an extension. At that moment, it felt so different in Duval than it does right now. So sometimes you just got to be patient. Then the news of Mac Jones getting the Jaguars trading for him, that came before any other free agency news. There were some, and those weren't even close to the dark times that we experienced before that. As I've said before, we started Helmets and Heels in 2014. A lot of losing seasons over the last 9 seasons, but certainly hoping that number 10 brings a Super Bowl. And like we said, the Panthers waited 30 years for their big cat organization to win. Hopefully the Jaguars do too. All right, so Chad Ryder, he's a frequent guest on Jaguars Today. He put out his 2024 NFL all-rookie team. Your guy, Caleb Williams, is the quarterback. I expected to find Brian Thomas Jr. as one of the wide receivers. He was not. Marvin Harrison Jr. was, and Xavier Worthy was.
The Xavier Worthy one is the weird one.
Correct. Like, I understand because
between Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr., I would think that one of those three. So
I think it's just because of Mahomes.
The Chiefs. That's what I was about to say. That's only reason to me is because I'm not saying I think that he could potentially be a good wide receiver no matter where he was. I do think he was one of the ones that was going to take a little more time to get there. And some of those top 4 or 5 were, to me, a little more ready to start in the NFL. But when Patrick Mahomes is throwing to you and the lack of weapons Patrick have had, I do think he's going to have a major role when you look at someone like Rome Odunze's wide receiver 3, Brian Thomas Jr. 3. And so maybe that's another factor into it also.
I mean, at the end of the day, Brian Thomas Jr. could have a better season than Marvin Harrison Jr. because of the quarterback situation. If you're saying Xavier Worthy gets to be on this list because of Patrick Mahomes, well, then Brian Thomas Jr. should be on the list with Trevor Lawrence ahead of Kyler Murray as the quarterback for Marv.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people just think this is what Kyler needed to get back to, like, what we saw Kyler could be, and Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously was the highest rated wide receiver we've seen in a while come out of the draft. And so I think I get that. It'd be weird leaving MHJ off of this list. And I think to a lot of people, it's more so this is what's going to like be the resurgence for Kyler Murray.
So I mentioned that there is one Jaguar on the list. So it's not on the offensive side of the football. And it's also not on the defensive side of the football.
That narrows it down.
Yeah, I thought maybe Mason Smith might make it, even though I understand there were some questions surrounding him because of injuries during his time at LSU, and the LSU defense wasn't great. But if you focus in just on how good Mason Smith can be, I mean, he can be a game wrecker if put in the right situation. And I do think the right situation is here in Jacksonville because he'll be a part of the rotation. So he doesn't have to, he's not going to be asked to do too many things in his rookie season. But nope, not Mason Smith. It would be kicker Cam Little.
Yes.
That's the only Jaguar that made it. And also your guy, Torrey Taylor, the punter for the Bears out of Iowa, made it. But Cam Little, there are some high expectations for him.
Yeah.
Even though he is in technically a true kicker battle with Riley Patterson.
Yeah, I definitely did not think it was going to be Mason Smith. I think the two defensive tackles they have on there, which is Braden Fisk and Byron Murphy, to me are ones that I wanted on both the teams that I cheer for and like. I think they're both going to be phenomenal and pretty much right away and major parts of those defensive lines. But I think that we've talked so much about how you go from you have all of these kickers who are so reliable. And we mentioned Scobie earlier in the show about, the leading scorer here in Jacksonville, which most times kickers are because it's just they are kicking so often between extra points and I almost said free throws, not free throws.
Extra points.
Extra points, yeah. And so when you're going through that, you go through this time where it's Scobie and you know that you're confident in this, and then you have a Lambo and you're confident in that, and you go through all of these kickers, and then all of a sudden it completely falls apart and you're losing games because your kicker can't make field goals or can't make extra points. And so now you are to the point where there is a sense of urgency there because in the last 2 seasons, there has been games lost because of those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Braden Fisk. He's one of the Knowles on the all-rookie team alongside running back Trey Benson and also edge rusher Jared Verse. So that's how you know a team in college is super talented is they land 3 guys on the all-rookie team.
See, and the one to me that and again, I think it's because the 2 on here were the 2 top. But if there was another player on the Jags that I think would have made it, it would have been Jarian Jones.
Okay, the corner.
I would have
out of
thought
FSU.
him over Mason Smith personally.
Yeah,
but when you're looking at their
they
list,
have Terrion Arnold
and Quinyon Mitchell.
And Quinyon Mitchell, the 2 guys who obviously Jaguars fans are very familiar with.
Yes, we talked a ton about those 2 guys here
and
in
that's what I
Jacksonville.
noticed throughout this too, is you had a guy like Jackson Powers Johnson, Joe Alt, like different offensive linemen that we thought, well, maybe the Jaguars
That's the
might
potential
draft.
there, yeah.
That at position, or certainly when it comes to corner as well. And so then you've also got Dallas Turner, the edge out of Alabama, who went to the Vikings when the Vikings moved up with the Jags.
Yeah.
And the Jags ended up picking 23rd instead of 17th. Another guy with ties here locally, and we talk about him all the time. I wanted him to be a Jaguar in the worst way after his freshman season, and that is tight end Brock Bowers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that conversation is always going to come, especially if he becomes what a lot of people believe he will become, which is one of the better tight ends in the league. Because every single team, when we were doing kind of like our mock draft thing throughout the year, we're like, well, what about Brock? And they're like, nah, he's really good. He has the potential to be one of the top 3 tight ends in the league, but that's just not a big need, or we don't want to draft a tight end that high, or that we need this offensive lineman, or we're talking, pass rush is so lacking. And it was always just kind of like everybody loved Brock Bowers, but nobody was willing to risk a top 10 pick on Brock Bowers, everybody we talked to. So it'll be fascinating to watch how his career pans out.
And especially because of where he is in Las Vegas and the Raiders, they have a quarterback battle between Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. And some may think, well, come on, Gardner's going to win that. He has way more experience. Maybe he will. But the Raiders also liked what O'Connell did when he filled in at the end of last season. So whenever there is a quarterback competition, is Brock getting all the reps with the first guy and who ends up being that guy?
Getting split between the 2 because you're also a rookie.
Right. And so I don't know if you can develop the same kind of chemistry, but look, I think the way that I watched him at Georgia, I think the baton will be passed from Travis Kelce whenever he's done to Brock Bowers. And we will, apologies to George Kittle, because certainly he's really good too. But as far as the guy who can lead a team in receptions, I think Brock Bowers can be that guy in the NFL.
Yeah, which the wild thing is, and I was looking at this the other day because I was looking at just some of the tight end numbers in general, but George Kittle, what he does with the limited receptions is what is incredible with what he does, because he has almost half the amount of receptions as some of the other top tight ends, but has more yards than all of them, has more yards per reception, obviously, because of the less receptions. So he's just that guy that you're not going to see him get the ball as much per game, but when the ball's in his hands, he's doing next level things once the ball hits his hands.
Yeah, I said the other day that my favorite words in baseball were oppo, grand salami, right? Opposite grand slam. Some of my favorite words in football, and I know you are in the same sentiment too, is yards after the catch.
Yes.
Yak.
Those yak yards.
Yeah. Whenever we talk about guys and what they can do after the catch, that's what can get your football team into the postseason, is those guys who make the difference, who are make those game-changing plays, game in and game out. And the moment that they touch the ball, and certainly we talked about, can Brandon Ayuk come here? He's one of those guys. Deebo Samuel, one of those guys. So the 49ers have several. Christian McCaffrey, one of those guys. Like, that's when you know that your football team's gotten to a point where you don't have to put as much pressure on the quarterback, because the moment they get the ball in their hands, there's another 10, 15 yards.
They'll make plays. And
Absolutely.
that's what, so just for reference, he had 65 receptions this year, 65 receptions, and led the league with 1,020 yards out of the tight ends. Travis Kelce, who's number 2, had 40-ish less yards than him, but had 93 receptions compared to his 65. Behind that, Evan Ingram, who had 60-ish less yards, but had a lot. He had 114 receptions to Kittle's 65. And so that's why I love George Kittle, because he's that guy that you don't have to ask him to do an insane amount each game, but you're still getting 100-plus yards from him.
And he's a really good blocker, too.
Yes.
So you can rely on him for that, too. And look, Evan Ingram's great.
Yeah.
And certainly, I hope when we're having this conversation next year, it's that Evan Ingram is one of the top 3 to 5 tight ends in all of the country. It's just there are more weapons now for Trevor, so he might have to spread the ball around more, which is a good thing, because that means the defenses aren't sure who to cover.
Yes. And you want to, I think a lot of the other tight ends, and that's the difference with Evan Ingram, and that's why we always kind of say he's more of the receiving type, the more receiving type tight end. And because most of those tight ends, when you look at the Kittles and the Kelce's and even what Laporta was able to do last season, they're a lot more they're the end zone weapon for you. And Evan Ingram's just not that, but he'll get you a ton of yards and he'll get you a ton of catches, and that's what that he's just being able to be that reliable thing. So that's why I do think it was so important for the Jags to go get someone like Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis, because they are those red zone weapons, and you didn't get that out of your tight end.
Absolutely. All right, one segment to go here on Helmets and Heels. An important soccer match tonight. We'll talk about that and more when we return. You are listening to 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
There's a new one-stop shop for all things Jags. Subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. One-on-one interviews with players, practice footage, podcasts, and more. If you're looking for the best Big Cat coverage around, look no further. 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube.
Mia here, and we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino? Canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. The live casino is so easy to use. Just go to MyBookie and click Live Casino at the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action's in the palm of your hands and you don't even need to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL. A revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win, only with MyBookie.
Did you know a metal roof from Prime Roofing has the highest wind and impact ratings available? If you want a stronger roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Learn more at primeroofingfl.com. That's
on an air conditioning unit and send your electric bill through the roof. Florida Home AC can help you handle the heat with a brand new AC unit with low monthly payments and over $3,000 in federal tax credits on select systems. So this summer, don't sweat it out. Cool off with Florida Home AC, the official AC company of the Jaguars. Call them today, 777-4300, and check out their tremendous savings on a brand new AC system.
Get recruiting tips and advice from area coaches, pros, athletes, and their parents.
So you gotta up your game.
Plus, better ways to train as B3 Better brings you the Amateur's Edge Show, Saturday from 11 to noon on 1010XL.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball presented by FIS is home all weekend at 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark. It's Coors Light Thirsty Thursday tonight. Tomorrow is Red Shirt Friday and fireworks. The first 2,000 fans Saturday get a free hat with more fireworks presented by the Maxwell House. Then it's Baptist Health Sunday Family Fun Day. JackShrimp.com for tickets. That's jackshrimp.com. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball. Affordable family fun.
Moms and dads looking for some serious summer fun for your kids? Then check out I9 Sports Flag Football Tournament Series. It'll run through June and July, and you can put a team together and join in on the action. Ages 4 to 14. Go to i9sports.com for all the details. It's happening at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows at their brand new turf facility. If you've got a youth flag football team or want to put one together, get ready for the I9 Sports Flag Football Tournament Series this summer. Check it out at i9sports.com.
Visionaries, builders, and doers, are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
An ACL tear can be a devastating injury with prolonged pain and rehabilitation. Hi, I'm Dr. George Bari. I'm a sports medicine orthopedic surgeon who grew up right here in Jacksonville and then went on to train with the world-renowned Dr. James Andrews. At Bari Orthopedics, we use the most current techniques to get you back in the field with less pain and quicker rehabilitation. We treat all types of sports injuries with the newest techniques available. Please call us for consultation or visit BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
Your Jaguars game day, your way. Whether you want to see a division rival like the Titans, an NFC North opponent like the Packers, or a mix, deciding on your favorite matchups has never been easier with Bundle at the Bank.
Touchdown, Travis Etienne!
Get tickets to 3 or more games starting at just $58 per game. It's as easy as pick, pay, and play. But seats are selling fast, so visit jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Hey Jacksonville, Taylor Dahl here, looking for an easy way to feed your friends and family this summer? Let your local Chick-fil-A restaurant cater your next gathering. Choose from a variety of trays, including Chick-fil-A nugget trays, mac and cheese, and, of course, gallons of Chick-fil-A tea and lemonade. Perfect for a get-together of any size. Place an order through the Chick-fil-A app, online, or by calling ahead and pick it up at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant. Or you can get it delivered directly to your door so you can enjoy more of the summer season with your loved ones when you take cooking off your plate with Chick-fil-A. See restaurant for details.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414-SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
My takeaway today, I think people are sleeping on Brian Thomas Jr. as he was not in Chad Ryder's all-rookie team for the 2024 season. Also wanted to mention, thanks again to Jumbo Shrimp for having us out yesterday. Even though they lost 12-11 at one point,
So
Taylor,
fun.
on 10-10 day, the score was 10-10.
That was. We were sitting at the Tiki bar in the back at this point, and I was like, oh, the score's 10-10. And you're like, oh, my God, on 10-10 day.
It was
like,
amazing.
so perfect.
I thought for
But
sure
I had
the
a
Shrimp
blast.
would win. They are back tonight, by the way. Coors Light, Thursday, 7:05 first pitch.
Yes, and so my takeaway for today is going to be how fun this college football season is going to be, just with everything that's going on. The big storylines, obviously, with the conference realignment and the Nick Saban gone and Kalen DeBoer at Alabama, and then all the quarterbacks that have left, all of these topics that we've been kind of addressing these last few months in the college football world. I think it's going to be so much fun. And when we talk about these the blue chip numbers and how maybe the blue chip ratio and how maybe they'll start skewing with the transfer portal. If we start seeing that with an expansion too, the combined of the both, it'll be interesting to watch this year.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, one of the more interesting but also intriguing seasons or fun seasons, like you said. I mean, I love college football already. You know me. Yeah. Since the time I was young, every Saturday for like 12 hours, I just sit down and watch college football. And so now to add Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC, the 4 teams to the Big Ten, the Big 12 looks different. The ACC, what exactly is going to happen down the road? Who knows? But for the here and now, you've got FSU and Clemson at the top. Can Miami, win the ACC? So many fun storylines, like you said. One quick note. That as far as locally here, Miles Russell tees off at 2:11 at the Rocket Mortgage Classic up in Detroit. He is from Jacks Beach, goes to Providence. He made the Providence high school team when he was in the 6th grade. That's how good he is. He won the Junior PGA Championship and the Junior Players at 14, and he supplanted Tiger Woods as the youngest to win the AJGA Player of the Year. Also in April, we did talk about this. He became the youngest player ever to make a cut on the Korn Ferry Tour. So good luck to Miles Russell. We'll be certainly following him at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. I mentioned soccer tonight. You have USA men's national team. The United States men's national team takes on Panama at 6 o'clock. That is at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium up in Atlanta. Really looking forward to watching the American guys. And the last time I remember they played Panama in, I want to say it was the Copa America Championship, was maybe like 2018, 2019. And the United States won. So we'll see if Christian Pulisic can score again. Balogun, one of the young guys, he's 22. He also scored when the United States won the other night against Bolivia 2-0. But super excited about that. And I did want to mention in the realm of soccer, since it's been a storyline, Alex Morgan.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Not on the Olympic roster.
What are your feelings on that?
So I appreciate her as a forward. And as a goal scorer, she's, I think, 5th all-time. Yeah, she's 5th all-time on the U.S. women's national team, all-time scoring leaders. A lot of times I think she's a little bit in the right place at the right time, which is great in soccer, especially if you are playing forward. But I think Emma Hayes, the new coach, wants to get the youth movement going on this team. And so the forwards that made it in place of Alex, Sophia Smith, Mallory Swanson, Jaden Smith, Trinity Rodman, and Crystal Dunn. So other than Crystal, and really she's more defensive back, but they list her as a forward. But that's a lot of the other ones are a lot younger. And I think Alex Morgan, 35, Emma Hayes said, we appreciate all she's done. She's a great soccer player. She's a great human. But I think it's time for that roster to turn over. And if you'll remember the storyline from the the World Cup 2 years ago, people thought that group of kind of the older Americans had gotten way more concerned about social media, their popularity.
And the political side of it, too.
Yep, and that versus playing the actual game. And so, I mean, I'm not really all that surprised. It's also a limited roster for the Olympic team. And so I'm intrigued certainly to see what Emma Hayes and this young group of women can do.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And I think that obviously I'm not the biggest soccer fan, but once it comes to USA soccer is a part of the thing when I will watch a little more than I'll watch anything else. There's so many things soccer happening right now because we have obviously the stateside soccer.
Yep, stateside cup comes up July 27th.
Yes, and then
Jacks USL.
The Jacks USL, and then also the obviously Olympics coming up. So it's just so much soccer right now. I'm trying to keep up with everything.
Well, good thing is I am here for you.
Thank you.
When Mia's here, she's here for you as well. Both of us played soccer. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks to RJ Saunders and all the guest booking that he's done. We appreciate the two people we had on today, Herm Edwards and Tony Barnhart. For the vacationing Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow on a Feel Good Friday, but don't go anywhere. XL Primetime comes up next.
Yeah.